Hari Om and a very warm welcome to all of you to the fifth session in the series titled Universal Truths from the Bhagavad Gita. Today's session is titled Pray and Not Bray. What will be covered in this session is what do we mean by the term bray, what is meant by to pray, twofold objectives of prayer. We shall take two characters for our analysis. One is Prahlad and another one is Arjuna. The common features in their prayer and the differences in their prayers. The fifth topic that will be dealt today will be traits of a devotee. And lastly, the analysis and the conclusion. So let's move ahead. Before we enter into the topic proper, we shall see what have we covered so far. We all have human embodiments. We all live a life of interactions. Daily, we enter into transactions with people. What is meant is not financial transaction alone, but emotional, mental, social transactions. While interacting with people, we have to be like the character portrayed by Krishna and not Drona, because some or the other person is always looking up to you and me. So this will be possible only when we start looking at life as bringing situations and not throwing problems one after other at us. Now this perspective is possible only when we have spent a fruitful amount of time in prayers. So the time spent in prayers is not of as much importance than the quality of time engaged in prayers. So see, leading a life without prayers is living a life unbecoming of a human life. This will become more clearer as we proceed further. Let us understand this a little more in this session. Let us try to understand what is meant by the term to bray. Bray is a very loud and harsh sounding cry made by a donkey. The sound is not pleasant to hear. It sounds like a loud Well, do I sound like a donkey? The donkey is a domesticated animal since 5,000 years. The donkey is also known as the ass. Humans have used donkeys for carrying their things or pulling things. They look like horses as their bodies are stout. However, their legs are short and the ears are longer than the horses. The tail is like that of a cow. They feed exclusively on plants and eat grasses which include leaves and stems. They are usually found in colors of greys and browns. Now these donkeys can live without water for a very long period of time. How do the donkeys behave? Now the donkeys are known to be very stubborn. So when they are fearful of something or some being, they freeze or they take to flight, meaning they flee away from the scene. They are known to be reliable and friendly creatures. Now take a pause and think, do we humans too behave in such a fashion? Definitely, don't we? Whenever there is a group of people who are making a loud and unpleasant noise, we refer to them as braying. Now see, bray is one component of the varied cries made by animals. Now you may take it to be barking of a dog or howling of a wolf or growling of a bear or roaring of a tiger. It hardly matters. What does it convey? It conveys that the behavior not appropriate for a human being. That is it. See, sometimes at places of market, of fair, or a railway station, and even at places of temples where we find lots and lots of noise and chaos, what do we call it? It is unbecoming of humans to sound like animals, where no one is hearing and all of them are engaged in talking. So we find no refinement in their behavior or thinking process. So what is meant by the term braying is unrefined behavior. This is found in majority of the people who have not made conscious effort to refine themselves. Right? Now what do we understand by the term to pray? Usually prayer is meant to ask for help from a higher authority. It is more like placing a petition. In reality, prayer is to offer thanksgiving for all the gifts that the Lord has bestowed upon us. It is in the form of expression of recognition. Deeper still, prayer is to speak to God. It is a pure form of communication in the form of communion. To pray is universal. It is not confined to a particular sect or a particular community or a particular religion. What do you think? We humans have a feelingful heart, and this heart can't but help praying. Generally, the prayer is in the form of invocation, which should culminate into divine communication. Prayer is in the form of invocation, which should culminate into a divine communication. The prayerful lips smile all the while, even when looking at the butterfly fly. Definitely not like the mouth that frowns looking at a person who is spiritually high. Right? What is meant by to pray? The hands that gives or offers help is that of a person who prays. The prayerful hands rise to wipe a tear from the cheek of the other, not the hands that slap and bring droplets of unstoppable tears. The hands that snatch or grab or steal or seize forcefully belong to a person who does not spend enough time in praying. The legs that love and enjoy the touch of the ground or grass or waters or mountain cliffs is that of a person who prays. The legs that crave the comfort of artificial man-made stuff like the shoes or the carpet or the sheet is that of a person who does not spend much time in praying. What is meant by to pray? The tongue that loves to speak soft, sweet and gentle words that please one and all is that of a person who prays. The tongue that flatters or speaks words without meaning it or shouts in anger is that of a person who does not spend much time in praying. What is meant by to pray? The tongue that loves to eat fruits or vegetables and loves to eat food with hands is that of a person who prays. The tongue that craves to eat all such food that is catering to the taste buds or that which craves non-vegetarian food always is that of a person who does not spend much time in praying. What is meant by to pray? What does it mean? Does it mean that we give up our eating habits or lifestyle? No. What it means is our lifestyles, or rather our personality, is very evident from our eating or drinking habits. The way we talk or behave, we communicate so much about ourselves. What do you think? You can continue living the same way as you did. Who can stop you from doing so? Take a pause. Think a little. Ask yourself, am I eating to satiate my hunger or satisfy my taste buds? Am I wearing the shoes or slippers to protect my feet or to show off? Through our thoughts, through our words, through our deeds, we all communicate. We all communicate something about ourselves. What are you communicating about yourself? The objectives of prayer should be twofold. One, to purify oneself. Two, to realize one's true nature. To understand this a little more, let us take the example of Prahlad. Prahlad? Where is he in Bhagavad Gita? Well, in the sloka number 30 of the 10th chapter, Bhagavan says, Prahladaschasmi daityanam. Among the daityas, the demons, I am Prahlad. When Krishna says this, we need to know the greatness of Prahlad. Now, Prahlad was a Brahmana in his previous existence. Again, when he was born as the son of Hiranyakashipu. But what is important is that he retained his ardent devotion to Bhagavan Vishnu. What more? His father did not like that his son should be such a devout worshipper of gods. So what did he do? He subjected him to a variety of cruelties to kill him. But Prahalada, who was always under the protective shield of Vishnu, escaped unscathed. He began to preach with even greater earnestness to his fellow classmates that Vishnu was omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. Once, Hiranyakashipu, in a fit of anger, asked him, if Vishnu is omnipresent, can I not see him in the pillar of this hall? Whereupon Hiranyakashipu himself angrily kicked the pillar to convince his son of the absurdity of his faith. But, to his surprise, Vishnu came out in the form of half man and half lion and marched towards him and tore him into pieces. Hiranyakashipu was effortlessly killed by Lord Narasimha. At that time, Prahalada, we find, doing a stuti of the Lord. Stuti is a praise. Now, from which we can come to know the mind of this great devotee. Now, Hiranyakashipu was killed and the Lord was unapproachable. No one dared to go near him. It was the most ferocious form that anyone had ever seen. Even Shri Lakshmi Devi, who always attended to the Lord, dared not to go near him, as she had never seen such a form earlier. So Lord Brahmaji asked Prahlada to pacify Bhagavan. The small child with the palms joined together falls at the holy feet of the Lord. On seeing Prahlada, Bhagavan was filled with love. The anger vanished. Compassion melted his heart. Bhagavan placed his hands on his head. Those hands that provide security to those whose mind gets terrified of the serpent in the form of time. Here is a child who underwent all the atrocities of his father without complaining or grumbling. The moment the divine hands touched his head, all traces of impurities got washed off from Prahalad. Darkness of ignorance got dispelled. Tears on its own started flowing from the eyes, and an image of the Lord got installed in his heart. Though Bhagavan was standing right in front of him, he could see Bhagavan right within his heart. This tells us that Bhagavan is not to be searched outside but deep within. Prahalad was holding the lotus feet with his tender hands. The hairs all over his body stood on end. His heart was moved with emotion of devotion, and tears of joy were flowing from his eyes. With choking voice and tears flowing, he started praising the Lord. He started extolling the Lord. Who could be the most unqualified person to praise you, O Lord, than me, who is born in a demonic race? Even the contemplative souls have fallen short of words. Then how can I, O Lord? Even then, I will sing your praises according to my ability, in my way, to bring about my inner purification. Bhagavan, you who is fulfilling everyone's wishes, you who is ever fulfilled, does not need any glorification, but it is the devotees who get immensely benefited by such praises. Now here Prahalad cites a very beautiful example, again allowing all of us to take a peep into his personality. He says that whatever decoration I do on my face is seen on the reflected face on the mirror. In the same way, when you, O Lord, is praised, the benefit comes to the reflection who is the Jivatma, and he prays to Lord, do not retain your anger because your enemy is dead. He is no longer alive. He further informs the Lord that he is not scared of this fearful, terrific form of the Lord, because I know you are the Lord of my heart. However, the people in this world are afraid of the cycle of transmigration. This is unbearable. They are scorched in the fire of duality. Now, because of my past sins, I have been born in this family. There is no remedy for sorrow. O Lord, I am wondering. The medicine for sorrow in this world is nothing but another cause for sorrow. You know, O Lord, our minds. It is not tat diya, but atat diya, meaning other than you, everywhere our mind freely wanders, engaging in sensual gratification to fulfill our unholy desires. You are not clearly visible and hence you are forgotten. All worldly pleasures are like mirage water which cannot quench anyone's thirst. Is the blazing fire put off with the pouring of ghee into it? On the contrary, the fire blazes vigorously more. Thus, the desire for sensual pleasures increases. So how can such a tormented mind focus on you? The sense organs are running on different directions. But I am not scared of transmigration because I have taken refuge in your stories, in your leelas, and have fixed my mind on you. O Lord, I am not praying for you. With your grace, I have understood the truth of life. What is the truth of life? That the world is impermanent. My Father, I saw, commanded the entire world but lost everything in front of you. Then how can this world charm me? I have been fortunate to get your blessings, which many gods fail to get. It only proves that no one is higher or lower in your eyes. Your grace is ever there like that sunlight. Only we need to move towards it to receive it. This means there has to be a humility and an absolute surrender, accepting your will as our will. O Lord, I have fallen into a deep, deep well, inhabited by a deadly python, who meant death amidst people engaging in sensual pleasures. Had it not been for Narada Muni, who rescued me and saved me, my fate would have been totally different. So, I shall never sever my connection with the wise and the holy people. Now here we find a beautiful prayer by Prahalad, a prayer for holy company. I feel protected from Samsara Chakra. Prahalad's prayer is in the form of prayer of gratitude. My prayers are for those unwise who are suffering a lot, like they are drowning in the dirty river, fearing every moment of death lurking in the corner, and fearing insecurity and negative emotions. This is what is described as Vaitarni of Samsara. Sinners drown in this river filled with filth. The source of suffering is due to the simple fact of seeing variedness and not oneness. Ignorance make one suffer. O Lord, how can you, standing on the banks of such a river, just be an onlooker? Can you, the ocean of compassion, not do anything about it? My heart weeps and weeps for those who have got entangled in the net of Maya. Kindly shower your grace upon them. It is not difficult for you to pull them out of samsara. Even the wise do nothing about it, as they are busy engaged in uplifting their minds. I feel concerned for their upliftment, so I do not wish liberation for myself alone, leaving all these miserable ones behind to suffer. So we find Prahalad's prayer is a prayer of love, for showering compassion on the miserable suffering beings. He could identify with the people for whom even the pain was a gain. Now these people did not care to come out of it. Impure ones go through the pain, whereas it is a pure souls find even the pinprick of others troublesome. Prahalad's heart exhibits a prayer of sensitivity born out of purity. The attitude of me has turned to encompass a bigger picture, we. A true spiritual seeker must have a heart of compassion for humanity. Sometimes we find the spiritual sadhana done by many spiritual seekers boosting their ego. So instead of evolving, such a person is seen to be devolving. The 6 means for developing surrender we find in this Prahalad's prayer. 1 is glorification in the form of chanting holy names. 2nd, salutation in the form of bowing down physically, the physical act, and developing a loving heart. 3rd, adoration in the form of worship. 4th, dispensation in the form of offering service by one's body, mind and intellect. 5th is concentration, but is in the form of training the mind to focus. 6th is again concentration, but it is in the form of listening to the stories of the Lord. So, thus we find in Prahalad a prayer of total and complete surrender. Such a prayer made the Lord offer boons of his choice, Did Prahalad fall for such temptation? The answer is no. Prahalad did not ask anything due to his single-pointed devotion. Had Prahalad asked for something in this world, it means that the Lord had been the means for accomplishing something in the world, which would have become the goal. This would be the mark of one who is not praying but braying. The true devotee would make the world a means to achieve Bhagavan, the goal. This is true praying. What do you think? Prahlad says, I am your perfect servant and you are my perfect master. I am perfect because I am not expecting anything from you. You are perfect because you are not expecting anything from me. If at all I have to ask, I ask for banishment of all the desires from my heart. Let all the negative desires vacate my heart now. So, I should not ask for any boon-seeking sensual gratifications. I am scared of desires. Why? The desire sprouting means what? Weakening of the strength of the mind, body, senses, weakening of the vital energy, righteousness, determination, weakening of the right thinking ability, modesty, prosperity, weakening of the strength, talents, memory, and falling short of adherence to truth. Thus, with this, we find the little child had passed the final test. The Lord blessed Prahlad with both material prosperity as well as spiritual prosperity. The Lord told him, you will be enjoying the entire prosperity for the entire Manvantara. You should spend the time listening to my stories, installing me in your heart, performing your duties as a worship unto me, fixing your mind in me, building up no new karma. Your entire balance of karma is burned. Prahalada sincerely prays to the Lord to pardon his father. This is the only boon that he is asking, because his father, out of ignorance, entertained feelings of animosity and hurt not only Bhagavan but also his devotees. The Lord tells Prahlad that not only his father but 21 generations have been purified because of the birth of Prahlad. Mark these words. In Vaishnava Sampradaya, Prahlad is worshipped as the epitome of a true devotee. We enter into Arjuna's prayers. Where do we find Arjuna's prayer? Yeah, we do find his prayer in Bhagavad Gita, slokas 37 to 46 in chapter 11. Let us look into this. This happened after the cosmic vision has been shown to him, the divine vision. So Arjuna says to Bhagavan that since you are the final abode of everything in this universe, it is but natural for everyone to worship you. How can one not offer salutations to you? So he is giving the reasons. He recognizes Krishna as the self of all, the underlying principle in all. All the devtas are included in you, Krishna. The wind god, the fire god, the water god, the moon god, the god of death, the Lord of creation are all powers expressed by you. The Lord gets the things done through everyone. Everything is a single unit. We all are playing one small unit. Now when everyone fulfills their part, the whole stands accomplished. Simple, isn't it? The prayer uttered by Arjuna is not a prayer out of desperate moments or out of hopelessness, but a pure philosophical prayer with an attitude of gratitude. The prayer is not showing helplessness of Arjuna, but it is in the form of exhilarated Arjuna who had the divine cosmic vision. The prayer is a Vedantic prayer. Such a prayer cannot be uttered by a beggar for sure. This prayer is uttered by the one who has recognized the spiritual teacher in Krishna. You're the one, that which is existent and that which is non-existent and that which is beyond. You are all that what is perceived and that what is not perceived. You are the Sat and the Asat. You are what is manifested, the seen world, and what is unmanifested, the unseen world. You are beyond that is manifested and unmanifested. You are the imperishable Brahman. Look at the understanding of Arjuna. You are the most ancient supreme being, the primordial being yet ever new. You are the creator of the creator of this universe. You are both the knower, the known, the knowable, and that to be known. You are both the subject and the object. You are the one who is pervading this entire universe. You are the one who is in the endless forms. You are the unchanging substratum, allowing the change to happen without itself undergoing any change. You are not an inert presence, but a knowing presence. Everything. Salutations unto you from the front. Salutations unto you from the behind. Salutations unto you from all sides. So Arjuna is seen saluting again and again and again. So wherever he sees, he finds the Lord. Then Arjuna confesses, O Lord, you were disrespected and insulted either when we were alone or with many people surrounding us. On many occasions, either by me thoughtlessly or considering you my intimate friend, or carelessly or casually. I took you for granted. I have addressed you arrogantly, not knowing your true greatness. I crave from the core of my heart immeasurable forgiveness, O Lord. Whatever I accomplish, Krishna, I still fall short in front of you, O my Lord. Let's take a pause. Think of all those people in your lives whom you have taken for granted and disrespected, either because this person was always available for your deriding comments, or because this person have been your relative. So goes the familiar saying, familiarity breeds contempt. Now, knowing it is the Lord expressing through this person, can you ask for forgiveness? Now, having felt the beautiful movement in your heart. If yes, then know that what could be a greater prayer than this? I seek your forgiveness. Just utter these words like Arjuna prayed. Can we too? Arjuna continues, in all the three worlds, none is equal to you. None is greater than you. You are the father of the moving and the unmoving world. We can create limited things, beings of same species, but we see variety in this world. So creation is just an expression of the one. Creation is none other than the Lord. So whatever is pulsating in this creation is nothing but you, O Lord. Because I see the creation is never static, but dynamic. The process of creation and destruction is happening every moment. You are the incomparable, most worshipful preceptor in the three worlds. It behoves of you to forgive me, as a father would forgive the misdeeds of his son, or as a friend would forgive his friend, or as a beloved would forgive his beloved. You would forgive as you are the Father of this moving and unmoving world. You are the greatest teacher, worthy of respect and reverence. O Lord, you alone are. You are uniform in every being, so it is difficult to comprehend you in one single form. So Arjuna's prayer is that of a prayer of a Vedantin. What do we find common in Prahalad's prayer and Arjuna's prayer? 1. Both of them have been uttering the prayer of gratefulness, a prayer of forgiveness. 2. Both of them have asked the Lord to be pleased to show His form of compassion and not His fearful form. 3. The salutations, what they offered, is the only offering that humans can offer, but it should come out of humility and not out of pride. What is the difference that we find in their prayer? 1. Prahalad's prayer is that of a devotee, whereas Arjuna's prayer is that of a Vedantin. 2. When they uttered that may the Lord be pleased to show His form of compassion and not His fearful form, in this prayer Arjuna is seen really fearful, whereas Prahalada is seen to be fearless. 3. Prahalad's prayer is that born out of pure love and understanding, whereas Arjuna's prayer is born of deep understanding. Right? Just remembrance of the Lord makes a bhakta or devotee contented, as he is undoubtedly aware that there is a constant presence of the Lord within and without. The unwavering belief of the mind, coupled with the unshakable intellectual faith, is seen as the way of his life. Emotional mind and the logical mind is in the Lord, and this is the trait of a devotee who prays, and this we see in Bhagavad Gita chapter 12. A devotee is able to exercise his mastery over his mind and senses. His love is not confined to an idol or an altar, but his love is for every living creature in this universe. His heart is full of love, forgiveness, and compassion, in the presence of whom the mind becomes calm. In the places of Samadhi, where we visit of great saints, great holy masters, we find even when they are not in their physical form, calmness and tranquility still reigns. Then in the physical presence of the wise ones, the mind glides into the supreme bliss. Even in the presence of innocent small children around us who are joyous and without any malice, reiterate the presence of the pure being. What to talk about the great ones? Think. So devotee is not and cannot be disturbed by the world or worldly beings. He deeply understands that the change is the changeless law of this universe, that which is subject to change. Is it possible for anyone to arrest this change? Highly impossible. So knowing this, his mind is yoked to the permanent and not to the impermanence. His mind is permeated in the infinite bliss that he sprinkles this joy around. Those with negative tendencies like jealousy move further away from such a devotee, and this is a fact. When we find the infinite ocean of happiness within, people with less hope will gravitate towards such devotees. Nobody moves towards those people who are submerged in sadness or sorrow, isn't it? So Jnani Bhakti is one who is able to maintain his vision of oneness 24 hours a day. Now let us contemplate on the altar of prayer. So one is, we have the Saguna Sakara Upasana, the worship of the Saguna Sakara. means what? The worship of the Lord with attributes and form. Now, the human mind is seen to be wandering from one object to another randomly. This jumping tendencies of the mind has to be curbed. How to do so? By giving the mind a field for it to wander. The field is nothing but stories, leelas of Bhagavan, which becomes the area of upasana. The heart becomes rich in love for Bhagavan, and the faith on Bhagavan intensifies. Many devotees love to relish this feeling of devotion and refrain from engaging in Brahmic bliss. This feeling of overpowering devotion is available in Dvaita Bhakti. Dvaita Bhakti, duality. The Lord of worship and the worshipper are two different. There are different levels of devotees. This we find in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7. Artha, the distressed, like Draupadi. Jignasu are the seekers of knowledge, like Janaka. Artharthi, the seekers of material gain, like Dhruva. Jnani are those who are established in knowledge, like Sanat Kumaras. Is this not universally seen? Then we have the worship of Saguna Nirakara, the Lord with attributes, the formless being. We also have Nirguna Nirakara Bhakti, the worship of the attributeless, infinite absolute being. Now we need to bring out the balance in one's life. A devotee should be able to bring about a balance between bhakti and jnana. Jnana is knowledge, which initially begins with listening to the discourses, graduating to the study of the scriptures, and then reflecting about the teachings. Now this should culminate from intellectual knowledge into experiential knowledge. That is why Bhagavad Gita talks about both. Because the experiential knowledge of Bhagavan is the same, whether one is a devotee or a jnani. That is seeing oneness, seeing the Lord or seeing the self in everyone. Now what are the results of prayer? A great devotee through his prayer can make the Lord manifest in a particular form with a name. In Bhagavad Gita, we find Arjuna requesting the Lord with a cosmic form to appear in the four-armed form. So according to the wish of the devotee, the Lord can be made to appear in a form. In Vedanta, one is expected to worship the Lord in a particular form, though one knows that the Lord is formless, attributeless and nameless. The path of bhakti or devotion, as our deep-rooted feelings for the Lord is there, the Lord manifests as such. A small analysis. Our body, the family that we are born in, the place of birth, hunger, thirst are all prarabdha. We can do nothing about it. What we do with this is with certain limitations. It is exercising our free will, but it is to a limited extent. Like what to eat when we are hungry, what type of attire we wish to adorn and cover our bodies. It comes within the limited purushartha. So spending more time and energy in this area is utter wastage of our time and energy. The effort is futile. We cannot do much about it within our limited lifespan and limited time frame. So what we should do? We should not get perturbed by this. If we do, it means there is a lack of discernment. Whereas to be free of our conditionings, vasanas or deep-rooted impressions or overcoming our likes and dislikes, we all can exercise much more free will. It is called Parama Purushartha. We all have a right to be free from all kinds of bondages and seek liberation. So, let us all pray, not bray, to get out of this birth-death cycles and be free. If this is not the universal prayer, then what it is? Let me know. The concluding line is, the human life is precious, human life is short. Knowing this, let us employ each precious second, not withering it away in unnecessary pursuits, but engaging in spiritual pursuits. Pray, not bray. Thank all of you from the deep core of my heart for enabling me to reflect loud. Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat. Hari Om.